Thank you very much. I come from the Asian Development Bank. It's best that I speak with our experience in the Asia-Pacific region. We have recently undertaken 3 major studies: the energy security study, a water security study, and food security study, which we'll be launching tomorrow. But let me tell you some of the things that we see as we go ahead. First, 70% of our business is in water, energy, food. So we ought to be thinking this very seriously, because our $15 billion investment primarily comes out of that. If I pick one mega trend in Asia, and we've done an Asia 2050 study, 70% of the people are likely to be in the urban areas by 2050. 3 billion people will be affluent, middle class. So that tells everything. It's going to be in the cities. 60, 70% of the food, energy, water will be in the cities. All our analysis shows the current way of doing business is not going to be able to meet the requirement. That's very simple. Therefore, energy, water, food security is real and needs some transformational approach, which I will share a few. Let's look at the energy security. Yes, the renewable agenda is increasing quite a bit. We can scale up more if you have money, if you have more institutions. But if you look at the long-term energy need and in the mix, the gas, oil still is very heavy. So what the gas, oil, and the coal. So we have not fully tackled the issue of the coal, whether it's on the technology front, the R&D, carbon capture and storage. I think there's a lot the corporate world needs to do in this area to help the government, whether it's technology transfer, pricing issues, etc., etc. This is unfinished agenda because this is going to be there in the mix. Second, the energy issue in the context of transportation is going to be huge. And when we see the next 10 years trend, there is no change. The motorization will continue. The public transportation is not going to catch up. So we're going to not solve that issue for the next 10 years either. So what are we going to do there? I think, again, we need a combination of the policy, as has been said before. We need the pricing structure that's needed. We need a public-private partnership, because some of those investments don't become feasible. The private sector doesn't want to do it if it's not feasible. The returns are not good. They can only do with the return, and the corporate social responsibility comes after that. That's what we've seen all in all again. And therefore, the public-private partnership is very important. Looking at the water side, we analyzed the 5 water security issues: household, economic water security, the urban water security, the environmental water security, the pollution, simple river pollution, water pollution, enormous amount of job, and the water security because of the natural disaster and the climate change. You look any of these areas, we don't see that the actions today is going to make it. 3, 4 things needs to be definitely done. One, we can't think water as a one-time commodity, drink and throw. It has to be seen in the context of the whole water cycle. The 3 R, reduce, reuse, recycle, I think got to be really the policy. It's not there yet. And when it comes to agriculture, on the efficiency, both water, energy, pricing, none of them are right that we see it, but it's possible, but it's not been done. The participation of the corporate world in the water side, unlike in the energy side, they're quite active, is not there enough. I think one, because the pricing. Secondly, the way the utilities, water utilities are managed today, they are not managed like a public sector, private sector. And there is room to do this, either to give it to the private sector to do this on one hand, or run it like a private sector. We have the Singapore model. It belongs to the government. They run like a private sector. We have models where they have given to the private sector, and they've done it like in Manila Water. And finally, in the water-related damage that we see in the flood, natural disaster, it's almost seen like a 1 in 200 years activity. That's how the engineers predicted. And the policymakers think that if your area has been hit by the natural disaster, you don't have to do anything for the next 200 years. And that's the kind of messaging is completely wrong. There is not enough in place today. In the 2-3 minutes I have left, on the food side, if 70% of the people are going to live in the urban areas, who is going to produce food? That's one question. The second question is, how will you produce more food? We're going to be able to produce more food with less water, less energy. If that is not possible, at least with the same water and same energy. Some of the investment work we have done with the help of the private sector in the technology in the water and the energy is possible. There's still a lot of possibility in Asia to improve the yield. We think Asia needs another green revolution, not the revolution type, the revolution we had last time, just the producing more. But today, not on the quantity alone, the food is very much in thought in terms of the quantity, but we need to think about the nutrition, the resource use, and the climate change. I think we need a nutrition security, well, not only a food security, which is also not there. The other part where the private sector has been very helpful in this exercise is their focus on the food value chain. And we have found this is a very good way to reduce waste, bring in the efficiency, either the production and the storage, and most importantly, each country can think of producing its own food by keeping in mind the regional or the global food chain. Just to give you one example out of our study, the ASEAN countries, 10 ASEAN countries, just we look at the grapes. And we found that the grape prices could be reduced by 80% over the medium term by applying the latest energy and water saving technology. If you look at the whole global regional food chain. I think, therefore, the modern food value chains, in our view, can reduce a lot of the food prices as well, and there is room for that. Looking forward, in one word, the corporate world has really to offer in the technology, in the partnership with the governments, and frankly, their CSR activity has to be a little bit more than what it is now, which is, I need to make my money, then I'll give some money to CSR. I don't think that model will work. It's got to be integrated. You can probably make still your 15% return, but if you can do 1% less, still very good in the current world, and in the name of CSR, please integrate and think that together. Thank you very much.